What's up, everybody? This is Phil Rogacki.
And I'm Jared Abergina.
You're listening to Two Tree Guys Podcast. What's up, everybody? Phil Rogacki here with another episode of the Two Tree Guys here at ArborFest 2022.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Dude, glad to be here. Glad to
good,
be here.
man. It's I'm always happy to see your face at these trade shows. Every single one. I don't think you've missed one yet. But guys, we have a special guest today. A close friend of ours has been out to California, has been seeing the live studio audience sitting there, and now, giving a little 10, 15-minute podcast today of hearing your story. Mr. David O'Neill. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Phil.
Welcome, dude.
Thank you.
Well, let's get into it, man. The world wants to hear your story, who you are, and what's the future hold for David, and some of the things you've learned on your way in this journey of life in this industry for that. So, how'd you get into this industry?
Well, I was around it and worked in it for a few years off and on, and kind of like, I guess what I would phrase as my like master of none period of time, where I did a number of types of work and kind of kept coming back to tree work. But I also did some solar install. I got to do some of that aerially, suspended the highline solar panels between trees. I did some building during that phase.
Gotcha.
I, got to do a little bit of traveling and stuff as well. I did a bunch of stuff, and I would I'd do tree work for a while and then be like, oh, I want to go do this or that or whatever. And then, about 5 years ago, I had, an opportunity my family, my dad and my sister both went to college in Pennsylvania.
Now, that's where you're from, Pennsylvania?
No, I'm from Connecticut originally, but I got roots in Pennsylvania as well, in other ways. And so I got an opportunity from some friends to go and do a different type of climbing than I'd ever done before, which was actually a pipeline blockade. So there was
So what is that? Explain that.
There was a methane gas pipeline being built, and I don't consider myself to be a particularly political or any kind of person, but this was a thing that was like, it was already leaking into the watersheds there, and it was like a thing that a lot of people were not feeling, but it was an opportunity for a business to make a lot of money, and everything was just kind of getting rubber stamped. And so some friends of mine asked me if I'd go and live in a tree for like a month to get in the way, and so I did that.
Wait, let me back up. So
yeah,
this is crazy. So a gas line was going in, or a pipeline was going in. They were going to take down a bunch of trees.
Yep.
Some friends just were like, hey, listen, I don't know what side you lean on, but will you just come hang out in a tree with us? And you were like, sure,
why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm pro all sorts of industry and stuff. Like, I don't, but to this was just a thing where it's like, it's going through, communities. It's all, they're eminent domain and a bunch of farms away. And it's there's a number of leaks that happen.
You may be the only tree guy in the world that ever put themselves up in a tree to block other tree guys taking out you. You're the guy that everybody hates in the industry, but this is how you got into it.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, this was like the moment that I was like, I want to do this all the time, and this is all I want to do.
Climb trees or block pipelines?
No, I haven't blocked a single pipeline since then. And the pipeline ended up getting built. It doesn't do anything. You know? At the end of the day, the money wins. But it was
dude, that's a great.
It created an opportunity. I mean, I was by myself living in a tree, shit in a bucket, and so it gave me a lot of time to think.
How long were you up there?
The longest stint I did straight through without coming down was 8 days.
8 days.
Yeah.
Who's bringing food to you?
Some people would send me up a Tupperware, or I had a bunch of dried food and preserved
now,
stuff.
Can we find news articles and stuff on this?
Yeah, it's probably out there. Yeah, at one point I was doxxed and they put my picture up, I think, and they called me an eco-terrorist. So it's probably out there somewhere.
And you didn't care either, or you're just like, sure, I'll help a friend out.
Yeah. It's my friends like their farm,
But you know what?
It's
their farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, you know what?
That's a bunch of the people like
that's the type of person you are. It really is, man. You were somebody that no matter what, you help out your friends from there, and I appreciate that about you. So no matter what it is, you're ready to go shit in a bucket and stay in a tree for how long? What was it?
I mean, 8 days was the longest I was continuously up there for. I was there for a little over a month in total.
Dude.
And most of that time I spent aerially.
Do you put that on your resume when you're going to look there?
I don't actually typically, this is a thing that, this is actually like a coming out of sorts with this, because it's a thing that, like there's this dichotomy in tree work, and that's not something I've repped really hard.
Dude.
Because it's not usually particularly loved, but at the end of the day, like I see this, like a lot of people coming to terms with the fact that there's this, like, money is being spent to divide people in these ways that aren't real. And like all of us, in reality, if given the opportunity, want to show up for our people.
Yeah.
And that's like, across the board, I think most people would do that and would want to do that. I just was lucky to be given that opportunity, and then a number of opportunities since then that have led me down a path where I get to build a relationship with you guys, and I get to climb all the time. I get paid well to do it. I get people that want to hear what I have to say about how they could be more efficient and how they do it, and
traveling all over the United States and living an awesome life, man.
Yeah, I'm blessed.
Dude,
I'm absolutely
and
blessed.
and I won't go more into living in a tree, because that story I want to hear a lot more details on and everything. But when you come back to the ranch and come to the studio, we'll put you on a full podcast, because people need to hear that more. That's
it was
a cool
crazy
story.
chapter, and it was fun, and we did these crazy we'd set up traverse lines from one tree to the other, like make these and it's ways I think about, like, ultimately I'm gonna have like a badass farm. We're gonna do some training there, and I'm gonna have like bug out scenarios and stuff. And we had like hidden zip lines into random trees in the back 40, so you could like exfil and if need be,
cool.
or like send like goodies from this place or that place or
That's
whatever.
awesome.
And I loved the thought process of that. Like how to just like be self-sufficient, and how to like if plan A doesn't work, you got plan B down to C, all the way through it.
Good.
And that was a fun thought process and exercise. And
Now, what happened after that? So now man, I want to get more into the trees side of it. What was your next step?
So I went and got my EMT after that, actually, because I had just like a number of times for I guess I'm a tree guy. I'm a bit of a risk taker, right? And so I've had a number of people close to me where I'm like, shoot, someone gets hurt, and you're like, I wish I knew more. And so I went and I was like, I'm gonna do this, and did that, and then I went and did some wildland fire, and then I convinced some buddies from fire out, and that was out in Southern Oregon, where convinced some buddies that I made out there that we should drive across the country as the season was dying down to go chase a hurricane. And so that brought me to Western North Carolina. Well, that brought me actually to Hurricane Florence. That was out in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
And then so we spent a few weeks out there, and we volunteered all that time and donated that. We did donation-based tree work, basically. So because we'd all made good money doing the fire
just
season.
helping people out that need
and so
some
it's
help.
like, hey, there's plenty of people here making good money and charging good money for all this stuff. Who's looking out for the little guys? And so we sometimes we got some beer money at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and
cool.
and we camped out in our
and
trucks
met some
and
cool
stuff.
people, and people
Super awesome
and that appreciation you got from them is worth more than the dollar at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. And some amazing food. Like people were like, hey, thank you so much. I just whipped up this meal. You got to try it.
Yeah.
Like, sure. All right.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was great. It was super rewarding. And so the three of us, we had this fantasy of like, oh, we're gonna make the SAW Team 6 was our nickname, but we never got to 6 guys. We kept it at 3. So, so we decided, after a few weeks down there, we're like, oh, let's go up to Asheville and come up here. And
where are these guys now?
They're probably both out getting geared up for the wildland fire season. They're both hot shots, and I keep trying to recruit them to come into the residential or the storm world. And they keep trying to be like, oh, you got to come back out west, come do SAW Mod or something like that, and we'll see.
Okay.
I could, wherever the wind blows me.
So where was that time in your career where it was like where you go, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life?
So I worked with a guy, actually right around the corner from me. I lived right near here for a few years, and I worked for a guy. His name is Nick Johnson. He owns Element Arbor, He's based out here in Waynesville, which is just one county over. And he is the person that like really preached and demonstrated like true professionalism in tree work and like really upped my game. And like he's the guy who and just like lit a fire.
Now, how'd you meet him?
A Craigslist post, I think.
Craigslist post?
Yeah, my buddy like scheduled the interview, and he actually he's like, well, just come with me, and then Nick was like, well, I can only hire one of you guys, and he was trying to hire me, and I was like, listen, you don't get me without him, and just played hardball with him, and he's like, all right, fine, I'll take both you guys, and it was a blast, and so and he totally modernized my game. He got me just like so amped about this he took me to TCIA, got me just totally amped on the community aspect.
He invested
of it.
in you a little bit.
Yeah.
Just enough to get you fired up and now to go out there and go, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. Now you're investing in other people.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you brought a whole team with you at the last boot camp, man, with great guys from Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, they came out and learned, and you know, I haven't talked to you after that to kind of hear, you know, what they thought and that, but I guarantee it was the right timing that some of them needed that, you know, for themselves.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I like everyone, you know, I brought some folks with, I contract a lot of the time in Chattanooga with TreeWorks, and then I previously worked for a while with North Georgia Arbor Management, and so I brought guys. I'd recommended that they come from both of those companies.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to help you guys out. You know, you guys offered me a calm spot, and I said, okay, that's amazing. I'm so excited. You know, I want to get this familiarization with your product.
That's good, man.
And then, you know, what can I do? I want to, you know, bring some more paying customers to you and share the love.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
And I've had a chance to talk to everyone that went there since then, and everyone's raving about it. You know?
Dude, it's oh man, I just finished a book called Start With Why. Have you read that book?
No, I've not.
Got to read that book, man.
All right.
It's why do you do what you do every day? Why? It's not the what. And it's not the how. You got to start with why. And a lot of companies or a lot of people start with what they do and how they do it, but they don't start with why they do it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we're building here at the Academy. And this is the reason why we do this is to change lives, to change an industry, to save lives, and to make better lives for individuals from that. And what do? We train. And how do we do it? Oh, you've seen it at there for that. So really preaching that what Jeremy, one of my mentors and best friend, we would always say is it's a revolution. Join the revolution. You know, it's time to change an industry that's been the same way for such a long time. So you coming out there and believing in that and sharing that with other people. It's not just the training, but it's the culture and what we're building that can change the whole industry. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you bringing those individuals out there. But let's talk about Nick Johnson a little bit more. I want to go back to him.
Sure.
You know, what do you see that he had that most people don't have? Why did he invest in you? Why did he give something to you?
I mean, I believe he saw grit, and that's what he showed me, you know, that grit channeled, and he's an absolutely excellent climber. There's no doubt about that. And so that I learned so many techniques and tricks specifically from him. But beyond that, it was a pride in the quality of work that you provide, in the professionalism, in the community that you're building. That was the biggest, you know. And he's a badass dude, and he's bootstrapped his way.
Is he here?
He should be here at some point. I haven't seen.
Got to get him on the podcast, man.
Yeah.
I'd love to chat with him some.
Yeah, I texted with him, and he said he's going to be here. So I'll follow up
when
with
he
him
comes on and sits down here. I want you to join us in there and hear his story, and you know, add a few things to it.
Sure.
There. So what kind of wisdom can you pass? You know, wisdom from the top. You know, tips from the top that you can give to somebody driving to work right now, someone listening to this podcast. What kind of wisdom and little nugget that you can give them?
I mean, I guess there's two things that really have like allowed me to grow massively. And, you know, one is in my search for efficiency, it's always been to never be afraid to ask, why am I doing a certain thing? And if I can't come up with a good reason why I'm doing something, then maybe it's time to reevaluate that. Is that actually the best practice I can be doing,
Yeah.
or is there a better solution to this situation, you know? And then the second thing is, you know, and this was it took a lot for me, you know, to get to this second step, which is, you know, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and network. I've grown massively by just, you know, when we first met, I just kind of invited myself into your podcast room. I stole your seat when you went to the bathroom, you know, and you know, like not being afraid to put yourself out there and be goofy and network. And it's just been incredible, the doors that have opened.
Good,
you know?
good, man.
And so those, I guess, would be the two recommendations.
Well, for what you were able to accomplish and the closeness you got with us in a very short amount of time was because of that reason, man. You put yourself out there and you weren't a jerk or an asshole or arrogant. And,
I try not to
you were
be.
fun
I
to
mean,
hang out with, and you were a help. And a lot of times, things we do, we need help, man. And a lot of these guys don't want to ask for help, and you're just always there to help, and we appreciate that about you. But, dude, that's some good tips from the top, man. I appreciate that, and you're gonna come back out. We're gonna hear your story again. So this is just a teaser to everybody listening to it and hearing about the canopy story and pooping in a bucket and oh man, to
weird,
traveling
wild
around to the what was it called? Saw Team 6 and
Saw Team
working
6.
for food and now here being on a little podcast at ArborFest. So appreciate you, man. Appreciate you being here, and everybody listening, put yourself out there, help somebody, you know, and if you can, don't climb a tree and poop in a bucket.
No, I try not to anymore. I'm quite all right with pooping in the toilet on the ground.
Good. But all right, guys, that's it. What we got for you today. Oh, I didn't say that right. That's it. We're done. See ya. Bye.